getting the KO over the CEO. Aneson Gib gets it done over Aneson Mcbroom. Wow, this KO was actually pretty spectacular and one of the more nasty KOs we've seen in YouTube boxing. Simply from the way Mcbroom's head just bounced off the canvas, it was pretty bad. So obviously, we're going to have to jump in and break this down and explain how Aneson Gib set this one up. He actually used a couple of pretty advanced setups that I would like to highlight. He flipped the script and flipped the narrative of what a lot of people thought this fight would be like. And yeah, we're just going to jump in, break this down. We need to give props to Aneson Gib. He showed his heart. He showed the courage. Let's get into this. So one of the first things I'd like to highlight is actually the first knockdown that Mcbroom landed. I think he did a couple things in this one that were actually pretty decently impressive. So we're going to watch how it was a lot of this fight was holding out this right hand, which ended up being his demise. But at first, it was working well. It was kind of keeping Gib at bay, even though without even putting any energy into a jab. And this is what he does here. He just kind of puts it out. Gib looks to parry a jab and fires his left hook right to the midsection, and that gets Gib's attention. He's thinking low. And yeah, this knockdown was pretty self-explanatory. I mean, there wasn't a ton Mcbroom did here besides keep this outside angle on as the southpaw. He stayed to the outside of this lead leg, and that helped to allow for the right hook that would come around. That would ultimately knock down the equilibrium of Gib, and then of course land the left hook, or that gets around the guard once again and knock down Gib. So watch this. Watch how Gib steps in here, completely takes this inside route. Now we're going to see later on in the fight how Gib learns from this and takes the outside of this lead leg and actually starts to really establish himself in the fight. First thing from Mcbroom that I'd like to talk about here, though, look at how he's no replacement here. This left hand is nowhere to be found. This ends up helping to be the demise, but look at that. It just kind of knocks off the equilibrium of Gib. Gib gets up quick. And yeah, he seemed ready. I think the Jake Paul fight did somewhat prepare him for this early knockdown. I think this kind of solidifies some of the things we've heard in the industry about Gib being one of these slower starters. Someone that they've even talked about putting in some sparring rounds before fights. I think the nerves are something that Gib, it probably just gets to Gib. And you could see the legs weren't fully there for him even before he got hit. So after the knockdown, Mcbroom really gained his confidence level, and he started walking forward at Gib in the way that, and I don't think Mcbroom's good at being the aggressor. He's more of a counter striker, and Gib is more of an aggressor, and that's why I kind of was nervous for Gib in this one, but I still did pick him to win. The prediction was right, baby. Anyways, watch how Mcbroom just walks forward with no regard, fires his left, and look how he fully extends this thing all the way out. This right hand is all the way down. The low hand style ended up hurting him. Gib had a nice job getting this guard out, but watch what Gib does here. Right hand misses, left, and boom. Only moment in this fight that actually kind of was good for Gib in the first round, rather. It kind of just was him punishing Mcbroom for walking forward, and eventually Mcbroom would start to walk into Gib's shots like he did here. Mcbroom was just overextending and kind of looking at his work. The right overhand was a weapon for Gib in this moment to set up the left hook, and he really used that right overhand and left hook perfectly to set one another up in this one. He really showed the beauty of the 3-2 combo and the 2-3 combo. Also, anytime you got a guy smiling like this, you hurt this boy. Either he feels like he's got a hurt man in front of him, or you hurt him. And Gib definitely knocked a little bit of the equilibrium around in Mcbroom. That skull, that brain rattled just a teeny tiny bit, and that's what started the demise and the downfall. But really, the main thing was this massive moment where Gib starts to land big inside the clinch, and also lands this first right hand. At least gets close to it, where Mcbroom is heading in, and Gib recognizes that he'll be able to land it. Now Gib catches Mcbroom on the way into the clinch with his left hook. Now watch what happens here inside this clinch. Gib starts to really take this outside angle and look to angle out, but he's controlling Mcbroom inside this clinch. He's a much heavier and stronger man, so he realizes to throw some shots. Now earlier on, just a couple seconds prior, Gib pushed Mcbroom from this side of the ring all the way across it, just because of how much stronger he is. And so he realized he can manhandle McBroom in the clinch, and now watch this work. That beautiful overhand counter. Now I know before you put in the comments that there were more clinch moments, there obviously were, but simply there's not enough time in this video for me to highlight all of them. But let's break down how Gib gets this one, this first knockdown that really changed the tide of the fight. So one thing that we'll notice is it looks like Gib starts to finally take this outside angle with the lead leg, and he's on the outside, but McBroom steps out and fires an overhand right, or an overhand left rather. But like I talked about earlier, no replacing from this hand bringing it back. Or more importantly, McBroom overextends on this shot. Something like we've seen Anthony Joshua do this a couple times, and he never really got caught for it. A couple other guys, he really overextends this shot and like almost looks to bring it down and then back, instead of just bringing it out and back, which would be quicker, more effective. It shows the confidence that he had over Gib, but Gib simply catches him right on the temple, and as you know, that affects the balance, and this really ruined the legs of McBroom. The way he's stepping back here, I do think McBroom did kind of gas in this one, which I will talk about in a second. The clinch work that Gib put on him, like I mentioned earlier, really did affect McBroom, but the legs were really, really wobbly here. He walks back to the corner. You can see the grimace in his face. So in this next knockdown, right before this, Gib really starts to recognize McBroom's overextending, and then this leads to this moment where McBroom is just nonchalantly walking this direction, and Gib likes this because guess what? It's pushing him into the right hand to the body. That will hurt McBroom and push him out this way, which of course will set up his left hook. So just watch this beautiful combo. McBroom circling in this way. This stops McBroom, literally pauses him as he starts to look to angle out this way. And look at this left hook. Boom. Dunzo. Sit down, McBroom. So right here is a moment I'd like to highlight because this shows the hesitancy that we're seeing from Aneson McBroom. I mean, he just walks forward, does nothing with this left hand. So watch. They get separated from the clinch here. McBroom walks forward, massive feint, but he's still leaning in with this with this head, the chin wide open, right hand's not here. Nothing even happens with the left hand, and Gib doesn't fall for the feint. Watch it. Boom. Wings this left hook, and this is where he really starts to take this outside angle, because fair play to McBroom, he did continue to come forward, but that uppercut, man, so nasty. And Gib sends him down. The way this uppercut just snaps the head back directly on the chin of McBroom, and he just kind of pushes him out with this left, which moves him this way, which of course will push him into his right hand. Out, boom, right hand misses. This left hook, though, finds the mark. Right hand, left hand. Everything seemed to just kind of be sloppy here, but found the money. And the reason that it could be sloppy was because McBroom was pretty much out of it. He was kind of like a zombie just walking forward, and respect to the guy for doing that. Now right here is the shot that ends up actually KOing McBroom later on, about like 30 seconds later. But this is where we really see, like I'm talking about, I've talked about earlier, how McBroom should not be fighting southpaw. He's an orthodox fighter, so it'll leave him squared up in situations like this, where he wants to put this left foot forward, no matter how much he wants to bring this right leg forward. With muscle memory and training, he's gonna end up being squared like this. So watch the way he just walks forward, looks to explode. Overhand right. This uppercut was a big thing that McBroom wanted to land. And we saw earlier McBroom really wanted to land it because he started feinting it up and then feinting a left hand. But look at this, man. Just catches him on the way in. McBroom falls into him. McBroom would probably have gone down if Gib didn't catch him in this exchange. Now the final knockdown that doesn't result in a stoppage is here. I liked what Gib was doing here with the in and out. I was expecting McBroom to be more like this. However, Gib was able to just put a jab on him, slip off to the right side, which is the perfect way to slip this jab. McBroom, in fairness, does it well too. But Gib just takes one step back. I don't love to see this footwork, but still, he just takes one gliding step back. McBroom, the overextension, like I'm talking about. This was just Gib capitalizing. There wasn't anything super crazy with the setups. It was just him capitalizing. Now this jab does land, and McBroom eats this right hand that's thrown from KSI and Logan Paul too. Boom, right? Just grazes on the temple, equilibrium gone, and McBroom has to go down. His body won't let him continue, no matter how mentally tough he is. And that's the second final knockdown. Let's look at the final one. And this final exchange is actually eerily similar to one that happened earlier, like I obviously did highlight. But what I will say real quick, Gib obviously didn't look to be super technical in these final rounds, and the only reason for that is because he had a hurt guy in front of him. The setups weren't that technical. However, that's not Gib's fault. He didn't need to be technical. He had Aneson Gib just walking forward with reckless abandonment. So, I mean, we'll watch here what Gib does here. He just steps in. Mcbroom fires his left hand. This time he actually puts something out there. But watch it. Just slips to the outside of this jab, or of this, this jab, like you should do. Slips to the outside. This left foot is on the outside of this leg, which shows the dominance in all footwork exchanges. And look at this. Boom. The way he angles out is beautifully, man. Mcbroom was here. Gib is here now. They switch positions. The shot's perfect. Gib puts him out. And the way Mcbroom's head hit the canvas, I do have to say, we don't want anyone actually getting injured in this YouTube boxing thing, right? It's a matter of respect to everyone that gets into it. And, yeah, you gotta feel for Mcbroom. Obviously, the social gloves is no more, likely at least. And, yeah, what's next for Gib? I'd like to see the Slim fight, but the KSI fight's really interesting. But this is, now we start to get to this area where we've already seen this in boxing and MMA, where teammates, training partners, the fights overlap and they need to fight each other to determine who's the best in the scene. I do believe KSI beats Gib, however, that's only because of the first 2 rounds. I think Gib's just such a slow starter that I'd give an edge to KSI just with the pure power. He gets a 3 knockdowns in 1 round, just as long as there's a 3 knockdown rule. But obviously, respect to Mcbroom. Thoughts go out to him and his family as he gets into the. I heard he was hospitalized, so obviously respect for that. Or, thoughts going out to him, and I wish him a speedy recovery. And yeah, obviously the setups weren't that technical here, but Gib had a hurt guy in front of him, and that's not to take away anything from Gib, man. You got a hurt guy in front of him. I don't blame you for absolutely swinging and banging. And obviously, some of the counter-striking was actually really impressive. So, yeah, there were a couple tiny setups. But, yeah, if you guys did enjoy this video, man, make sure you like and subscribe. And, yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care. It's been your boy, Jack KC. We're on the road to, just 50 bajillion subscribers. So, subscribe. Peace.